Have you ever wondered about the strangest photos that time has forgotten? Today we will reveal to you the strangest and most fascinating vintage photos that you will love. I promise you, they are truly rare and interesting. Enjoy the show. This shot is from the set of I Dream of Jeannie, featuring Barbara Eden as Jeannie and Larry Hagman as astronaut Tony Nelson. The 1960s sitcom won over audiences with its quirky humor and Jeannie's magical mischief, constantly shaking up Nelson's normal American life. The show's retro style and playful plot still bring a nostalgic smile to fans today. This photograph, taken around 1905, shows a woman suffering from the severe effects of untreated syphilis. Who do you think this woman is? Write in the comments. Bobby Fischer on the New York subway, April 1962. Lost in his own world, he's focused on a chess problem with his pocketboard. At just 19, he's already a legend, obsessed with the game wherever he goes. A glimpse into the mind of a genius who would soon shake up the world of chess. In 1972, a group of British schoolgirls took to London's Hyde Park, holding up signs with a bold message. No to the cane. They were pushing back against the old school practice of corporal punishment in classrooms. At the time, the cane was still a common tool used for discipline, and these students weren't having it anymore. Their protest was one of many signs that the youth of the 70s were standing up, challenging tradition, and demanding change. It's a snapshot of a time when even school kids were getting their voices heard. Franklin D. Roosevelt, kicking back on a fishing trip in the Gulf, 1937. It's a rare, relaxed shot of FDR away from the pressures of the presidency, looking carefree with a cigarette hanging from his smile. Even in these casual moments, Roosevelt's larger-than-life personality shines through, giving us a glimpse of the man behind the leadership during some of America's toughest times. John F. Kennedy signing an autograph for a young Barbra Streisand at the 1963 White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's a cool moment where a future star and an already iconic president cross paths. Streisand was just starting to make waves, while JFK's charisma was still lighting up every room he entered. This rare photo captures two legends at different stages of their journeys. Throwback to the 1980s in Hungary, when high-tech driving simulations look like this. Instead of VR headsets, you've got a steering wheel bolted to a box and a screen with some lines that vaguely resemble a racetrack. Not exactly Gran Turismo, but hey, for the time, it was cutting edge. Imagine passing your driving test by just turning a wheel with no actual road. Now that's some old school driving experience. Here's young Tupac Shaker in the early 1980s, rocking that classic 80s vibe in New York. Boombox in hand, a Camaro behind him, and a laid-back street style. This kid was already cool before he even hit the music scene. You can practically hear the beat just looking at this photo. From the streets to superstardom, Pac's journey was one of a kind. Check out this vintage camping setup from 1950s France. A Citroën traction Avant with a rooftop tent. Talk about hitting the road in style. Back then, folks were already figuring out creative ways to camp without needing a big RV. Just pop up the tent, climb up, and you've got yourself a mobile bedroom. Perfect for a spontaneous getaway. Susan Sarandon rocking a classic Disneyland tee in 1970. She had that effortless, laid-back vibe way before it was cool. This shot is like a perfect snapshot of 70s nostalgia. Disney magic mixed with Hollywood's rising star. Sarandon was just starting out, but she already had that look that would make her a legend. Jane Seymour in the 70s, radiating that free-spirited energy of the era. With her long hair and that embroidered top, she looks like the ultimate bohemian muse. Long before she became Dr. Quinn or a Bond girl, Jane was already turning heads and capturing hearts. Pure 70s magic right here. Inside a McDonald's kitchen in Toronto, 1976. This classic snapshot captures that old school fast food vibe back when Menzies was all about simple burgers, fries, and hands-on grilling. From the paper hats to the big grins, you can almost smell the nostalgia. A slice of fast food history right there. Sharon Tate in the 1960s, absolutely stunning, right? With her effortlessly chic style, Tate embodied that era's blend of glamour and bohemian vibes. Her look here, complete with that soft fur-trimmed jacket, just radiates classic 60s charm. It's a reminder of her beauty and the lasting impact she left on Hollywood in such a short time. Joan Collins chillin' poolside back in the 50s, rocking that vintage Hollywood vibe. That yellow shirt, those high-waisted shorts, total classic look. She was already bringing the star power even before she became a household name. Pure old-school cool. A British woman stepping up during World War I, working as a train conductor on the London Metro around 1916. 1916. When men were off to war, these women kept things moving, literally. It was a time when ladies took on jobs that were usually reserved for men, proving they could handle it just as well. In this 1904 photo, two French scientists from Jean-Baptiste Charcot's Antarctic expedition sip champagne on Booth Island. Behind them is the Pourquoi Pas? Why not? Their ship for exploring uncharted Antarctic territory. Charcot's team mapped much of the area and gathered essential scientific data, but they didn't skip on style. Even in Antarctica, they brought a touch of France. Moments like this, with champagne in hand, were more than just a break. They kept spirits up in the frozen extremes of the Earth. This is the launch of Apollo 7 on October 11, 1968, from Launch Complex 34 at Kennedy Space Center. Apollo 7 was NASA's first manned mission after the tragic Apollo 1 fire. The Saturn IB rocket roared to life, sending astronauts Wally Schirra, Don Eisel, and Walt Cunningham into orbit. This mission was crucial, proving the redesigned command module was safe and paving the way for Apollo 11's historic moon landing less than a year later. A moment when science, risk, and the ambition of a nation came together in one fiery liftoff. Elizabeth Montgomery, known for her iconic role as Samantha in Bewitched, is seen here in a classic 1960s promo shot. With her charm and wit, she enchanted audiences in a time when magic on TV was as close as a twitch of her nose. Montgomery wasn't just a Hollywood star, she was also outspoken on social issues and used her fame to support causes like women's rights and AIDS awareness later in life. This photo captures her poised elegance and hints at the confident personality that made her unforgettable. Here's a snapshot of dedication. This photo from 1962 shows gardeners tackling the tallest yew hedge in the world. Planted back in 1720 in England, standing at nearly 40 feet high, this hedge requires some seriously daring trimming. Just look at those ladders arranged in a precarious A-frame. Talk about trust in your equipment. This German man is literally using banknotes as wallpaper during the hyperinflation crisis of 1923. Back then, the money was worth so little that it was cheaper to cover walls with cash than buy actual wallpaper. It's wild to think that what we see as money could lose its value so drastically that it became practically worthless overnight. In post-World War I Germany, people faced sky-high prices for basic necessities, and entire life savings could be wiped out in a day. This photo shows just how surreal and desperate those times were. Here's a glimpse of 1967 with two Hollywood bombshells, Diana Dors and Jayne Mansfield, holding chihuahuas like fashion accessories. This was right at the peak of the glamour pet trend in Hollywood. Jayne and Diana were both known for their bold style, big personalities, and a love for little dogs that could fit in their handbags. It's an odd but charming snapshot of the era when tiny pups and big hairstyles were all the rage. Here's a rare look into the bubbly business of the 1930s. This champagne inspector wears a unique mesh mask to guard against accidental cork blasts while checking bottles. Back then, the pressure inside champagne bottles was unpredictable, and corks could fly with enough force to cause injuries. This quirky gear was a practical solution, blending style with safety, a small detail that shows the hidden dangers behind the glamour of champagne. Here's Dolores Reed, captured in a lush garden setting in Los Angeles back in 1956. With her striking blue eyes and leopard print outfit, she embodied the vibrant style of the era. This shot isn't just about Hollywood glamour, it's about the boldness of a decade pushing fashion boundaries. Reed's look was all about confidence and charisma, making this image a classic snapshot of mid-century allure. Dolly Parton in the 70s, radiating that signature Southern charm. This era was a golden time for her music career, with hits like Jolene taking center stage. Beyond the music, her style, big hair, bold outfits, and a whole lot of sparkle made her unforgettable. Dolly wasn't just about looks, she had the talent and personality to match, which made her a lasting icon in both music and pop culture. Here's a slice of fast food history. In 1948, Richard and Maurice McDonald stand proudly in front of their soon-to-open drive-in hamburger joint in San Bernardino, California. This humble spot marked the birth of the McDonald's empire. Their simple menu and speedy service system aimed to serve burgers and fries at record speeds, a revolutionary concept that reshaped American dining forever. Ho Chi Minh playing billiards in China in 1960s. This is a shot of Natalie Wood during the roller disco craze of the 1970s. Known for her roles in classics like West Side story and rebel without a cause, Wood embraced the roller skating trend that took over the US in the late 70s. Many stars at the time were spotted at roller discos, and this photo captures Wood's glamorous style and playful spirit. This image shows Miss America undergoing an early hairstyling treatment in 1926. The intricate machine, designed to set hair in curls or waves, was one of many experimental beauty technologies of the time. This elaborate contraption likely involved heated rollers or clamps suspended on a framework to curl the hair. Early 20th century beauty treatments sometimes looked more like science experiments, and many of these machines were intimidating for clients. This photo captures a moment in beauty history when innovation was pushing boundaries, even if the equipment was far from user-friendly by today's standards. This photo shows archaeologists dining inside the tomb of Pharaoh Ramses XI in 1923. Among them is Howard Carter, the famous archaeologist who discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun just the previous year. Dining in the tomb was part of a celebratory tradition among early 20th century archaeologists, who often marked significant discoveries with unique gatherings. The stark setting of this banquet reflects the immense effort and fascination these researchers had for Egypt's ancient history. Despite the eerie atmosphere, such events symbolize their deep connection to the ancient world they were unearthing. Dolly Parton, 1966, captured in a candid photo booth moment. Long before her larger-than-life stage persona and legendary music career, Dolly's youthful charm and genuine smile in this shot reflect the early days of a country girl with big dreams. This was around the time she first moved to Nashville to pursue her music career, already showcasing that unmistakable charisma that would soon captivate the world. Goldie Hawn, casually leaning at a drive-through window in the 1970s, captures the laid-back vibe of the era. Known for her effervescent personality and comedic talent, Goldie was a rising star during this time, transitioning from her breakout role on Rowan and Martin's Laugh into major film roles. A young Debbie Harry in 1968 before her Blondie fame, back when she was part of the folk rock band Wind in the Willows. This photo shows her before her punk and new wave era took over New York City. Just a few years later, she became an icon in the music world with Blondie, blending punk with pop in a way that defined a generation. In this 1951 photo, Marilyn Monroe is seen with her beloved white Persian cat, Mitsu. Known for her love of animals, Marilyn found comfort in the companionship of her pets, even amid the chaos of her rising fame. This image captures a rare, candid side of her, showcasing a simple joy away from the Hollywood spotlight. Warsaw Taxi Driver, 1935. Billy and Benny McCrary, famously known as the McGuire twins, were the world's heaviest twins, tipping the scales at 742 lbs and 723 lbs, with waistlines measuring a massive 84 inches each. They were icons in the 1970s for their feats in the world of professional wrestling, where they played up their larger-than-life personas to the crowd's delight. Known for their stunt rides on tiny motorcycles, they became a sensation and even earned a place in the Guinness World Records. Marilyn Monroe, caught in a candid and natural moment around 1960, without her signature makeup. This rare shot reveals a relaxed, playful side of her, far from the polished Hollywood image she was known for. Marilyn was often photographed in glamorous settings, but photos like these remind us of her genuine, down-to-earth personality and her ability to charm, even without the glitz. Al Pacino, strolling through a lively New York City street in 1977, embodies the grit and style of the era. By this time, he was already celebrated for his intense roles in films like The Godfather and Dog Day Afternoon, which cemented his image as one of cinema's most compelling actors. This candid shot captures Pacino's off-screen persona, relaxed yet introspective, blending seamlessly with the city that fueled much of his career's early energy and inspiration. Norma Jean Baker, better known to the world as Marilyn Monroe, worked at an aviation factory in 1944, helping support the war effort. At just 18, she was married to her first husband, James Dougherty, who was serving overseas. During her time in the factory, Norma Jean was spotted by a photographer capturing women's contributions to the war, leading to a modeling career and eventually her transformation into Hollywood's iconic Marilyn Monroe. This era marked the beginning of her journey from ordinary to extraordinary. Drive-in from the 1950s. In May 1971, Mick Jagger was spotted outside the Hotel Byblos in Saint-Tropez, a spot frequented by the rich and famous. That summer, he married Bianca Perez Mora Mastias in a whirlwind wedding attended by rock royalty, including Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. This photo captures Jagger at the peak of his fame, just as the Rolling Stones were putting the finishing touches on their legendary album Exile on Main Street. The carefree vibe of the French Riviera seemed like the perfect backdrop for a rock star living life to the fullest. Flying first class on a Pan Am 747 SP in the late 1970s was as close as you could get to dining in a fine restaurant at 30,000 feet. Pan Am's service was legendary, with meals that included caviar, fresh fruit platters, and an endless supply of champagne. The 747 SP, designed for ultra-long haul routes, was the epitome of luxury, and the airline went all out to impress its high-flying clientele. From real glassware to lavish spreads, this experience was worlds apart from modern air travel, when flying was still an event, not just a journey. In 1977, Lynda Carter captivated audiences as Wonder Woman, a role that made her a pop culture phenomenon. Unlike any superhero portrayal at the time, Carter brought a unique mix of strength, elegance, and warmth, embodying the character's compassion alongside her power. Filming action scenes in that era came with its own challenges. No CGI or fancy effects, just Carter, stunts, and the bold 70s flair. She became a symbol of empowerment for a generation, adding heart to the superhero genre in a way that remains iconic today.